Hello YouTube. God is good all the time. And today I'm going to show you how to make a healthy homemade chocolate with absolutely no sugar added. So let's get to it. Alright, so the first step is I'm going to use my little digital. I said I was never going to have a digital thing, but I found this cheap little guy to be just perfect for what I need it for soap making and making stuff like chocolate. So I put my favorite little melting pan that I got at a garage sale on there. Then I turn it on and it automatically calibrates itself. So the first thing I want to do is put in my cacao butter. This is raw cacao butter. And I want to measure this out to 4 ounces. Okay, until that. So, and I don't care if it's a little bit over. It's actually 4.4 and I'm cool with that. This cacao butter it's the least expensive cacao butter I have bought. But I wouldn't say it's organic, it's raw. I can't remember the exact price on this, but I got this at Amazon. Best price, but not necessarily the best flavor. It's still good for making the chocolate and stuff, and it's still good. But I'll have to figure out what the brand was of the last one I got, because I liked it better than this as far as flavor goes. But good price, and for making chocolate you won't notice a difference. It just, the texture is slightly chalkier and all that, but the health works. It's still very good. All right, so then I take my cacao butter, and then I'm going to put it over here on my, see if I can get that in there, on my hot plate that, as you know, I said in another video, is currently, the reason I'm using this is because it is summertime. We get a lot of solar power off our panels, and so I use the hot plates a lot. Obviously I'm not running the wood stove because it's just too warm for that, even though we've had a pretty chilly summer. I'm still, it's silly to waste our firewood on that when it's just not that cold. So, and I can use my solar power. So I'm going to melt this slowly, all right? And so while that's melting, the next thing I want to do is I want to take my pie pan, and I found that I prefer to use this little guy here, this little tiny silicone rubber or silicone spatula for spreading the butter into the pan rather than the silicone brush. And so I just take my Kerrygold grass-fed butter and I spread this kind of thinly in here. Get it mostly, you don't have to go clear up the sides. Mostly you just want it a little bit up the side, and because it's not going to come up that far. And then definitely across the bottom. That will just make it easier to get out of the pan. Okay, and this whole recipe is something I made up myself. So this is my raw cacao, and I'll add that to the cacao butter once it's ready. Now today, I'm going to use the freeze-dried mangoes. I made this the other day. Sorry, get this in the camera here. I made this the other day with trying out the mangoes, and it was pretty good. I didn't know what to expect. I've tried the Thrive brand of the freeze-dried mangoes, and they were okay. Honeyville, the mangoes are, they just have more flavor. I'm really happy with these. So the freeze-dried food thing is sort of new to me. I've been kind of collecting it for a few months, but trying something new every time I place an order, and mangoes were my newest thing to try. And now every time I try a new, I always get a number 10 can, and every time I try a new one, I open it right away and try to put it to use so I can see if this is something I want to keep on my shelves, you know, and put away for hard times or whatever. And really happy with these. Honeyville so far, I've been very happy with all their stuff that I've got. I buy their wheat berries, their organic hard white wheat berries, and so far they're my favorite for making flour. So anyways, you can see I'm taking the mango, the dried mango, freeze-dried. I love freeze-dried fruits. They're better than dehydrated. Freeze-dried just has this nice, crispy, yummy. The flavor is much stronger. It tastes like the fresh fruit, only it's crispy. So good. So anyway, spreading this around. Now, the fruit that I use in here, that becomes the sweetener for the chocolate. I use absolutely no other type of sugar, no honey, nothing. It's just the fruit. Raisins are really good for this because raisins are like the sweetest dried fruit you can use. So if you like, depending on how much sweetness you like, raisins are the best for the most sweetness. I tend to like a little less sweetness, so the mangoes are less sweet than the raisins, obviously, and so this is really good. The other one I've tried is the freeze-dried raspberries from Honeyville and some organic raisins just slightly sprinkled in there with the raisins, because the raspberries aren't very sweet at all and they're a little bit tart. So having the raisins in there kind of made up the difference and just made a real nice chocolate that way. So anyway, I have this all spread out evenly, and now I'm just waiting for my cacao butter to melt, and I will get back to you on that once it's done. All right. Wanted to show you the cacao butter is melting, again, very slowly. You don't want to burn it, so you want to melt it as slowly as possible. It just makes for a better chocolate when you do that. Now, a lot of people use a double boiler for that, but for me, I find this works just fine as long as you have a good pan, stainless steel. I love stainless steel for this kind of stuff. My two favorite things, stainless steel and cast iron to cook with. But anyway, good stainless steel pan, low heat, very important. And once this is fully melted, I'll then add the cacao powder. So there's that. And I'll get back to you when this is fully melted and I'm ready to add the cacao powder to it. My cacao is now melted. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And I will be adding in the raw cacao powder. This is organic, of course. So I put in a half cup of raw cacao powder into the 4 ounces of raw cacao butter. That's another reason why you want to keep your temperature very low when you're melting it, is so it doesn't get too hot, because you want to keep your cacao raw. It's allowed to get up to a certain temperature. I cannot remember what it is. Is it 180 degrees before it's no longer considered raw? That sounds high to me, so I may be off on that. I'll have to look that up. Anyway, so I blend this in really well, so it's as smooth as can be. Then I take my pan, my prepared pan with the fruit and the butter, and I pour that over the fruit. Try to get it nice and even. Your fruit will shift around a little bit, especially the freeze-dried, because it's not as heavy. Like raisins stay in place better. Goji berries, that's another real good one. Because goji berries, that's a superfood right there. And that's one of my favorites. And those are, because they're dehydrated, they're not as light as the freeze-dried fruits, and so they stay in place a lot better. But you can take your fork and just sort of, where did my little spatula go? This little rubber spatula also works really good for scraping out, or silicone spatula, it's not rubber. Scraping out the chocolate out of the pan. Get as much out of there as you can, make the most of it. Anyway, I like to try to push it down in there. And of course you can double this recipe and make a thicker batch. This just works really good for us like this. And then I take this and I will set it in the refrigerator and let it set. And then once it's set, I'll pull it out and chop it up. This is what I call chocolate bark, because I don't try to make it look like anything special. I just chop it up into pieces, and then I like to throw a couple of the pieces of this into Patrick's lunch, because real chocolate is just, it's so good for you. It is high in antioxidants, and it is also a good anti-inflammatory. And Pat tends to have a lot of back problems, so I try to find good yummy things I can make him to eat to help with his back. Anyway, I will get back to you when this is set and ready to chop. Our chocolate is now set. And what I'm going to do is take this metal spatula. I just find this to be the easiest way. As long as I break it in half at least first, that out, and it comes right out because of the butter. And then you just break it into pieces like that. Comes out pretty easy. Toss it in my bowl, and then I'm going to keep this in the refrigerator, because your homemade chocolate is not filled with stabilizers and all those anti-melting ingredients. So this will melt very easy, even at just regular room temperature. So you want to keep it chilled and you know, serve it directly from the refrigerator. When I put it in my husband's lunch, it's in there with some other frozen stuff that keeps it cold until he's ready to eat it, and he loves this. It just makes for a real nice treat. Healthy fat, no added sugar. Only the sugar that's in the fruit is the only sugar that you're getting. It's all natural. So just the 3 ingredients: your raw cacao butter, your raw cacao powder, and your fruit. That's all. That's that simple. Healthy homemade chocolate.